Hi, I'm Shane Downey, coming to you live from the GBTA Canada Conference. Joining us here today in the broadcast studio is John Kearns, Chair of the Surrey Hotel and Motel Association. John, how are you doing?
Great, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, let's hop right into it. So, we've heard a lot about accessibility and inclusivity within the conference today. So what measures are being taken to ensure accessibility and inclusivity for all guests at your properties?
In Surrey, we have a number of cross-section of hotels. We have full service, we have select service, and also a good portfolio of motels. So we have a number of built-in challenges, largely due to some of the age of the properties, as well as the changes that are happening, in the legal world as far as that is concerned. Part of what we're doing is we looked at what type of strategy we needed to have in the province. As when I was chair of British Columbia Hotel Association, one of the things that we decided that was important was to work towards a charter, if you will, for the hotels in British Columbia to address some of these shortfalls that we've had. And this is before the legislation took effect, and we looked at it as an opportunity, so we actually invited guests that had perhaps WCB claims that may have accessibility issues, such as canes or in wheelchairs, to tour our properties, stay for free, and give us some feedback on what needed to happen in these properties. So, interesting enough, one of our guests was Stephanie Cadieux, which you had yesterday on the panel. Yeah. And Stephanie had remarked, she'd come into our hotel and had remarked that one of our hotels in particular, the sightline for the guest's mirror in the bathroom was 8 inches above, where it should have been. So basically there was no visual presence in the room. And these are designed rooms specifically for that. Right. So we knew that we had to do a little bit better on that. So part of this is training of our staff. Part of it is understanding the micro requirements of a guest that isn't necessarily the same as you would probably have in a cookie cutter model. Yeah. And to offer assistance to our guests in that regard.
Wow, that's really so important. You think you know, and then you find out maybe you don't know everything.
And we saw that in accessible showers in some of our properties, and some of the grab bars and things that you would think were designed by designers, but they don't really quite fit the mold of what we need for those particular guests. So I think it's a very dynamic and moving field that we'll probably see forever, quite frankly.
Yeah, no, I agree. So another topic that we've heard quite a bit about is bleisure, the combination of business and leisure. So what can hotels do to capitalize on the bleisure travel?
Well, we define bleisure as basically a transportation shortcut in between getting some business work done, but also basically reducing your carbon footprint by using and combining your purposes of your trip. Part of what we see, particularly in suburban market, which is largely where we are located, our group of hotels, we see it as an evolution that's happening. It all started, I think, with the technology as well as the hybrid meetings, which have been sort of taking place over the past, since COVID. Yeah. But largely speaking, we're finding now that to have a competitive advantage, you actually have to have some purpose-built meeting space, which embraces the technology, but it also may not be a large meeting space, for example. It may be a very confined living room atmosphere almost. And so we're seeing now that customers are gravitating towards those types of spaces with the idea that you can combine perhaps a Monday, Tuesday of work, and then you're here for Wednesday, Thursday, that may be more of a family joining you, or perhaps it's a bit later in the week and you're talking Friday, Saturday, where your family is joining you. So part of that competitive advantage that we look at is specifically how with these customers you're going to create that experience. So understanding where they are in their trip persona space is really important. So for example, on a Monday, Tuesday, you may be meeting. On a Wednesday, Thursday, you may be looking for an itinerary, a group organized tour, perhaps your own self-guided. And we've managed to put together a number of those. An example is we have this area that is known as the Spice Trail in Surrey. And what that is it's a series of restaurants, but also you can see cooking demonstrations, but at the same time you can go and physically acquire those products to make those particular South Asian dishes. So that's one aspect of which we have used. The other part of it is to understand the transportation. Transportation has changed a lot. We're not seeing people using airlines as frequently as we'll see people drive or take the train, but also with the idea that it's 20 minutes on a SkyTrain to downtown Vancouver.
Right.
So that dynamic has changed a lot. People have got out of their cars more and more so, and it's not just gas prices. I think there's an evolution that's occurring as well, and amongst our guests.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. So, how are hotels in Surrey differentiating themselves to stand out in a competitive market?
A suburban market typically is A, cheaper to build, and B, much cheaper to operate from a property tax standpoint, as well as your workforce is generally more so in the suburbs. So our labor models are quite a bit different than a downtown specific type of property. So that's the first competitive advantage we have. To differentiate ourselves, part of what we offer is seaside ventures. So we're very, very close to the ocean. So we have a couple of custom designed piers that are made more for a tourism than, say, a fishing experience.
Right.
And so we have a lot of customers that will gravitate to those areas that are a little bit more commercialized, as well as offer more than just, say, a lakeside experience. Right. Those are sort of key things. I did mention the Spice Trail to you, which is another part of this. We also offer guided tours, but also a concierge experience. So we'll have a concierge that actually will assist you in planning what you want to do. If you want to go to Whistler for the day, if you want to go to downtown Vancouver, or perhaps just over to the island for the day, Vancouver Island. So it's really customizing the experiences so that you really understand where the customer is at in their particular journey and maximizing that. And that's probably the biggest three I can think of.
Yeah, those are three big ones. Thank you for joining us today at the broadcast studio at GBTA Canada. See you soon.